Greetings, yogis. My name is Daniel from Daniel Lee Yoga. Thank you for joining me this Wednesday evening. My apologies for getting started a little bit later this evening, but normally classes will start at 7 p.m. on Wednesday. I just want to thank you for joining me today. Today we have a level 1 focus class, and if you were introduced to the fundamentals on Monday, we're going to build off of that a little bit. So some things may be a little familiar to you, some things may be a little different, but it's going to be a nice challenge today. Definitely going to get workout in, working on the hips, the shoulders, certainly the core as usual. So hope you're ready because I am. So we're going to go ahead and get started seated with our legs crossed at your shins. And if you like sitting up on something, like if you have blocks with you, you can always sit up on a block. If you want to roll your mat up, if you want to sit on a pillow, just sit in whatever way is comfortable for you. We're just going to get started with class today with just a gentle breathing exercise. This pranayama is called Samavriti. It's equal parts inhale and exhale. And the reason I like doing this is it really allows us to start our practice by connecting to our breath, releasing whatever we did earlier in the day, and forgetting about whatever we have planned later this evening. So, without further ado, make sure you're in a nice comfortable seat. You have some options for your hands, whatever's comfortable. Palms can be on the knees, arms can come to the centers of your chest, whatever works for you. Okay, so during these exercises, we're going to inhale through our nose and exhale through our nose. As you inhale, I want you to fill up deeply and completely. And when you exhale, exhale out all the air out of your body. I'm going to count down so you can follow with me if you can. And if you'd like, you can softly close your eyes or your gaze can be slightly open in front of you. So let's begin. Begin by exhaling out all the air. So just exhale out everything you got. Exhale it out. Let's begin. Inhale through the nose. 3, 2, 1. Exhale through the nose. 3, 2, 1. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax your breathing, return to normal breath. If your eyes were softened or your gaze was closed, just gently blink your eyes open. And we're going to come onto our backs, so remove whatever you're sitting on if you are. Just place that off to the side. Might come back to our blocks later. But go ahead and come onto your backs. And when you're on your back, have your knees bent. So with your knees bent on your back, make sure your feet are hips width distance to start. Feet are hips width distance, knees are directly over the ankles. And go ahead and start by hugging the knees into your chest. So gently hugging the knees into your chest. Your arms can wrap around either your shins or around your thighs. Just giving a gentle squeeze. Nothing too crazy right now. And you can keep that, and we're going to slowly rock from left to right. Just gently rock from left to right on that lower back. Just gently easing out any little bit of tension down there. Rocking left to right a couple more times. And let's come back to center. Okay, keep your knees bent. Release your feet to the floor. And we're going to add some movement now. So we're going to move on the breath, but here's how it looks. You're going to start by hugging one knee into your chest. On your inhale, on your exhale, you're going to switch. So as simple as that. So on your inhale, let's inhale and hug our right knee into our chest. Exhale, hug the left knee in. Inhale right. Exhale left. Inhale right. Exhale left. So keep going at your pace. Maybe you're breathing a little bit slower than I am, a little bit faster. Just try and move on your breath though. Hugging one knee on the inhale and the other knee on an exhale. Just allow your foot to come down completely to the mat when you release it. And you're just gently squeezing the opposite knee into your chest. Keep going a couple more times. And one more time each side. And release both feet to the ground. Have both knees still bent with your feet on the floor. Make sure your feet are hip width distance. And start by hugging that right knee back into your chest. This time we're going to extend that left leg forward and straighten the left leg. So that left heel comes to the ground, which means the left toes flex up towards the ceiling. You're trying to actually draw the toes back towards your face. And that causes them to point up. Now the muscles in that left leg are starting to engage. Take an inhale here. And exhale, let's switch that. So draw the left knee to the chest and now extend the right leg forward. So right heel comes to the ground. Right toes are flexed. Right toes are drawing back toward your face. Starting to engage the muscles in that right leg. Stay for one more breath. And exhale. Now draw that right knee into your chest. Hug both knees into your chest. We're going to do that same thing, but we're going to bring it up to breath speed. So inhale, extend one leg forward. Exhale, extend the other. We're going to keep both feet flexed as you do this. And as you're extending both legs, bring some awareness to that lower spine. Are you arching your back to try and make this happen? See if you can reduce that. Hug that navel in and down to reduce that arch in your back. Keep going 2 more times each side. And draw both knees into your chest. Release the feet down, keep the knees bent. We're going to keep adding on to this. So you can do that same exercise if you'd like, or what we're going to do when we extend the straight leg, we're going to hover that heel. So begin by drawing your right knee into your chest and extend that left leg forward. The left foot now hovers so you can see my heel hovers off the ground. If this is too much, just bring your heel to the ground. And we're going to switch on the breath again. So inhaling, extending one leg. Exhale, extend the other. If you can keep that heel an inch or two off the ground, go for it. Otherwise, just release that heel down when you straighten that leg. Try not to compensate again by arching that low back. Try and hug that navel in and down. I'm going to do 2 more times each side. And when you finish that last one, hug both knees back into your chest and release the feet down to the mat with your knees still bent. And we're going to bring our arms to the party now. So let's begin by extending our arms out and over and have the palms face each other. So my thumbs are down, they're over my head, and my palms are facing each other. So now, begin by raising both knees up, both feet are flexed, and releasing them down to the ground. So again, the knees are going to stay bent. The legs are basically staying in the same position. You're just bending at that hip crease. So inhale as you raise your knees and your shins up. Exhale, release to the mat. Inhale, lift. And exhale, release. 2 more times. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release. 1 more time. Inhale, lift. And exhale, release. Now we're going to bring these arms to the party. Okay, here we go. As we inhale and lift our knees up, Our forearms are going to come to touch our knees. And now exhale as our arms come back overhead, feet drop to the ground. Inhale, lift both up, forearms to knees. Exhale, extend away, keep the knees bent. Inhale, forearms to knees. Exhale, hands away. And you can see how my arms, when they come forward, my palms face forward. And then when my arms come back, the palms face each other. So keep going. 2 more times on your breath. Again, hug that navel in and down. When you finish your last one, your arms are going to be overhead, your feet are to the mat. And just gently release your arms down to the sides this time. So now your palms are facing down, your arms are to the side. So we're going to gently rock up to a seated position, and you can get up whatever way works for you. So if you want to try rolling up and down the spine, you can hug your knees into your chest, hands come around your thighs, and you just start to roll, just gently rolling up and down that spine. Keep going a couple times. If this is too much, you can always just let your knees fall off to the side and press yourself up. If you are rolling, come up to a seated position, and we're going to come right into tabletop. So wherever you are, coming into tabletop. Now, in tabletop, your hands are going to be beneath your shoulders. Your knees are beneath your hips. So your knees are hips width distance. Your arms are a little bit wider, shoulder width distance. Take a peek at your wrist creases. Your wrist creases of your hands should be lined up with the short edge of your mat, or maybe they're slightly turned out, just slightly. So see how that looks, see how that feels. Fingers are nice and spread, but not too much. Pressing down to the base of each finger and each palm. Tops of the feet are to the ground. They're hips width distance as well, so if you take a peek back, you shouldn't see those feet. Hug the navel in and up towards the chest. Stay for a breath here. And exhale. All right, let's add some cat-cows to this. So starting with our cow, let's inhale as we drop our navel, send our heart forward, head looks up. And exhale as we round into cat. Speaking of cats, hello, Oliver. All right, inhale as you round into cow, arch your back, send the heart forward, look up. Exhale, round into cat. Separate the shoulder blades, let the head hang heavy. Inhale as you round into cow. And exhale into cat. Separate the shoulder blades. 2 more times on your breath. Inhale, arching the back, sending the heart forward. Exhale, rounding the back, separating the shoulder blades, head hangs heavy. 1 more time, each side. Inhaling into cow. And exhaling into cat. All right, come back to neutral spine. And let's come down to our forearms. So now place one forearm down, place the other forearm down. So your right elbow should be still right underneath your right shoulder, and that left elbow should be underneath the left shoulder. Hands are shoulder width distance as well. Now stay for a breath here. Just make sure you're nice and comfortable here. Tops of feet are still on the ground. Hips are still over the heels. Make sure you're nice and measured up. Palms are pressing into the ground. Take an inhale and exhale. We're going to extend our leg back. So starting with the right leg, try not to move your pelvis too much and extend that right leg back. Right leg is straight. So again, you're flexing those right toes so they're coming back towards your face, and you're pressing out through the heel. Stay for 1 more breath. And exhale, release that right leg down. Let's do the other side. So now extend the left leg back, flexing those left toes, pressing the left heel back. Stay for a breath. And exhale, release. 1 more time each side. Again, bring some awareness to your pelvis as you extend that right leg back. So the right leg straightens, pressing the right heel back, flexing those right toes so they draw toward your face. Exhale as you release the right knee to meet the left. And switching to the left, so extending that left leg back, left heel presses back. Left toes come towards the face. Stay for 1 more breath. And exhale as you release. Okay, we're going to do a couple cat-cows now on our forearms. So same as we did in tabletop, same motions. So on your next inhale, you're going to arch your back, send your heart forward, look up. Exhale as you round your back, separate the shoulder blades, let the head hang heavy. Inhale, arch the back, send the heart forward and look up. Exhale, round the back, separate the shoulder blades. Head hangs heavy. 2 more times. Inhale as you arch, send the heart forward. Exhale as you round. Inhale, arch, into cat. And exhale into cat. All right, come back to neutral spine on your forearms and press yourself back up into tabletop. Now, in tabletop here, we're going to add a little twist. So, begin by shifting a little bit of the weight into your left arm and extend your right arm out and up so that the right arm comes up. Once it's there, now you're going to hook it and send it underneath your body. So now the right arm comes down, right palm faces up, sending it underneath, and then drop the back of your forearm to the mat so your palm still faces up. So your palm still faces up, so you can see me a little better. And then drop that right shoulder to the ground. Let the right side of your head fall to the ground. And stay here for a breath. So again, you should be on your right shoulder and your left arm is pressing down into the ground. Right palm faces up. Now this can feel a little bit weird, but we're just gently opening the shoulder, adding a nice little twist. Stay for a breath. And exhale. Now you're going to press down through that left arm, press yourself up, lifting that right arm out and up towards the sky. Exhaling, releasing back down into your tabletop. Now let's do the other side. I'm just going to do the same side so you can see me. But if you lifted your right arm first, and now you're going to lift your left arm out and up. And exhale as you send that left arm underneath. Left palm faces up. Back of that left arm comes to the ground. You gently lower that left shoulder blade. Right arm helps keep stability. And left arm faces up. Stay for a breath here. And exhale. All right, on your next inhale, press that right arm down. Press yourself up. Uncurl that left arm. Lift that left arm up to the sky. And exhale, release that left arm to the ground. I'm going to do that one more time each side, but then you'll have the option to lift your leg while we do that. So it'll be fun. So here we go. We're going to lift our right arm out and up. And exhale as we curl it under. Right palm faces up. Drop that right shoulder to the ground. Left palm presses down. Get your balance. Now, from here, you're going to extend that left leg back and see if you can lift it up off the ground. Keep your balance. Keep flexing that right foot. Stay for a breath here. And exhale as you release that right knee back to meet your left. And press your left arm down. Release your right arm up. And that right arm comes down to the ground. Okay, switching sides. I'm just doing the same side so it's easier for you to see here. So now we're going to lift our left arm up. And as you exhale, that left arm comes down and under. Back of that left arm to the ground. Release that left shoulder to the ground. Left side of your head comes to the ground as well. Now you're going to extend that right leg back this time. Right toes are flexed, pressing back through that right heel. Stay for a breath. And exhale, release that right knee to meet the left. Press that right hand into the ground. Inhale, lift that left arm up to the sky. Exhale, release that left arm down. Whew. All right, so we're going to press our hips back towards our heels. Now, this may be uncomfortable for some people to sit. We're going to raise our torsos up and sit back on our heels. If you need to, you can sit on a block and sit that way with our hips back towards our heels. Or if you want, you can just sit back in your cross-legged seat. Either way, wherever you are, you're going to clasp fingers together, just gently. Not all the way up to the webbing, maybe about halfway there. Bring the base of your palms together, and let's just gently rotate. So I like to make little figure eights here, or think of it as like an infinity symbol. This is just to give our wrists some love. And go ahead and switch directions in those rotations. Again, you're just gently clasping. The idea here is to get some nice rotation in those wrists. This is always something you can do anytime during the day. you need a little bit of a break. Okay, come back to center. Release the hands down. And we're coming back into tabletop. So coming back into tabletop, we're only here for a moment. From tabletop, we're going to curl our toes under. We're going to lift our hips up. And we're going to straighten our legs, press our chest back into our first downward facing dog. Now, in your downward facing dog, it's our first one, so let's go ahead and pedal out those legs. You can lift one leg, lift the other, lift one heel, maybe the other. If downward dog is too much for you, you can always come back down to tabletop whenever we come to downward facing dog. Otherwise, keep pedaling out in downward facing dog. We're here for 2 more breaths. And just come back to stillness. Take an inhale here. And exhale. Now inhale as you gaze forward. Bend the knees. Exhale, walk or step to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins. Exhale, forward fold. Now stay in your forward fold here. Knees can be bent as much as you need to. Your hands can either be on your thighs, you might be up here in your forward fold. Your fingertips might come to the ground, or maybe your palms come to the ground. Either way, just stay in your version of forward fold. We're here for a breath. Now we're going to come into ragdoll. With ragdoll, we're going to let our arms hang heavy. We're going to clasp opposite elbows. So opposite hands grab opposite elbows. And then you're going to let your head hang in between both arms, letting both the arms and the head hang heavy. Again, knees can be bent as much as you'd like. And you can stay here, or if you want to gently rock left and right, you can do that. Just gently rocking. You're still actively pressing the feet down into the mat. It gives you a little bit more stability and engages the muscles in the legs. Takes some of the strain out of that low back. Come back to stillness if you're rocking. Release the clasp of your elbows, letting the arms hang heavy. And now we're going to roll up, but ever so slow. We're going to come up to standing. We're going to roll up one vertebrae at a time. So press those feet down into the mat. Spin those thighs in and back. And start to roll up just very gently from your lower back up to the mid back. Your head is the last thing to arrive. Upper back begins to unravel. And finally your head comes up. Just take your time. And once you're up fully, just go ahead and shake your arms out. Maybe roll your shoulder blades up and back. Shake those legs out a little bit. Okay, so we're going to do some marching now. So starting with your hands on your hips, we're going to start to shift some weight into the left foot and raise the right leg up. So when the right leg comes up, the right thigh ideally is parallel to the ground. If you can't raise it up that much, that's fine. But see if you can flex that foot when it comes up. So now release that right foot to the ground, shift some weight into the right foot, lift that left leg up this time. So opposite leg comes up. Again, trying to get the thigh parallel to the ground. If you can't, just as high as you can go. And release that left foot. So now we're going to go on our breath. So inhale as you raise one leg and drop it down, raise the other. Switching to one, switch to the other. Again, you can go on your breath. You can go as slowly or as fast as you want. We're just going to march here with our arms at our hips. So keep your arms at your hips. They're there for a reason. I want you to just feel how your pelvis kind of moves as you shift from one side to the other. Maybe it starts to dump forward or dump back. I want you to try and keep a nice long spine as you do this. Okay, so now keep your legs moving in that march. Bring your hands to the center of your chest. Palms face each other. Thumbs to your sternum. Keep going on that marching. Again, as fast or slow as you'd like. Okay, keep the marching. Now extend your arms up. Have the palms face each other over your head. Keep the march going. And see if you can lift those knees up to hip height. Keep going a couple times each side. And just begin to slow those marches down. And just come back to stillness. Release your arms down to your hips. And let's just shake that out again. All right, we're really getting these nice and warmed up. Okay, let's come back to the top of your mat. So at the top of your mat, want your feet to be hips width distance, heels behind the center toes. Feet are nice and parallel. Arms down at your side, palms face forward. Soften those shoulder blades away from the ears. Try and soften and draw that tailbone down towards the floor as you raise those hip points up to those front bottom ribs. Take an inhale and exhale. We're going to move. Here we go. Let's inhale our arms out and up. Look up. Exhale, we're going to forward fold, bend the knees, forward folding at the hip crease. And we're going to inhale, place the hands to the shins, extend into a nice flat back, slight tuck of the chin. Maybe your legs start to straighten. Exhale, bend the knees, forward fold. Place both palms to the ground. Bend your knees as much as you need to make that happen. Now you're going to step your right foot back. You're going to step your left foot back. We're now in our plank. We're staying in plank for 2 or 3 breaths. If you ever need to, just drop your knees down into that modified plank. Otherwise, we're in plank for 1 more breath here. And exhale, drop your knees to the ground. Everyone drop your knees to the ground. Shift your torso forward. Bend the elbows back as you lower all the way to the mat. Once you're there, you're going to uncurl those back toes so the tops of your feet come to the ground. Your palm should still be beside your chest. Forehead to the mat. Press the tops of the feet into the ground, tops of the hips into the ground. Inhale as you lift up into baby cobra. So you're lifting your heart up and your chest up, sending the heart forward, looking for length here as you press your hips into the ground. Exhale, release that forehead into the mat. Curl those back toes under. Press yourself up into tabletop. Lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. We're here in downward facing dog for 3 breaths. Knees can be bent if they need. Pressing the base of each finger and each palm into the mat. Pressing the heels back down towards the ground. Send that chest back towards your thighs. Here for 1 more breath. And exhale. Now inhale as you gaze forward. Bend the knees. Exhale, walk or step to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, looking for that nice flat back. Exhale, forward fold as the knees bend. Now inhale, arms out and up, chest up, look up. And release those hands down to the center of your chest and down to the sides. Let's do that 1 more time. Inhale, arms up, chest up, look up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Place both hands down to the mat. Step your right foot back. Step your left foot back. We're here in plank again for 3 breaths. If you ever need to, you can always drop your knees to the ground. Otherwise, stay in here. Staying for 1 more breath. And everyone drop your knees to the ground. Shift the torso forward. Bend the elbows lower all the way to the mat. Uncurl the back toes so the tops of the toes come to the ground. Press the hips, press the legs into the ground. Inhale as you lift your head up and your chest up into your baby cobra. Looking for more length here than actual height. Draw those toes away from the crown of your head and lengthen through that body. And exhale as you release the forehead to the mat. Curl those back toes under. Press yourself up into tabletop. Lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Again, you can always drop to your knees in downward facing dog if you need to. We're here for 2 more breaths. Arms should be nice and shoulder width distance. Feet are hips width distance, a little bit closer. And take 1 inhale as you gaze forward. Bend the knees. Exhale, walk or step to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Now stay in your forward fold here. Release your hands to the ground. If you have blocks, you can grab blocks. You can always come into your forward fold this way. If you have like books or something else that helps you get closer to the ground, you can always use that. Otherwise, we want to make contact with something in front of us. So if you can't reach the ground, make sure you have something that you can help to reach that ground. So I'm just going to use blocks here as an example. So we're going to begin by lifting up one leg behind us. So we're going to shift a little bit of the weight into our left foot. And once you're nice and stable there in your left foot and your both arms, you're going to raise that right leg up and back. As you raise that right leg up and back, keep it straight. Right toes are flexed. Right heel is pressing back. Try and press those arms down and lift your navel in and up. Stay for one more breath. And exhale, release that right foot to meet the left. Just bend your knees, shake it out a little bit. Let's come to the other side. So, pressing both feet into the mat. Now shift some weight into the right foot this time. Lift your left leg off the ground and extend that left leg behind you. Raise it up behind you. Flex those left toes. Press that left heel back. Hug that navel in and up. Slight tuck of the chin. Stay for one more breath. And exhale as you release that left foot down to the ground. And you can get rid of any props that you may have been using. Place them off to the side. And just stay in your forward fold. We're going to inhale as we lift up halfway, hands to the shins, nice flat back. And exhale, forward fold. Let's come up to standing. Inhale, arms up, chest up, look up. And exhale, hands down to the center of your chest and down to the sides. Okay. So we're going to work on our tree pose now. I love this balancing pose. It really enforces a lot of good things that you can take into other poses, and it can just be a nice fun challenge. So for tree pose, you can be at the top of your mat, wherever, but either way, your feet should start hips width distance. Heels behind those center toes, feet are nice and parallel. So we're going to start by shifting some weight into that right foot. Bring your hands to your hips and bend that left knee so that left heel comes off the ground. Now externally rotate that left leg and bring those left toes in closer to your shin. Now make sure your pelvis didn't wing out too much. Make sure that pelvis is still facing forward. If you need to reduce that rotation to make that happen in that left leg, go ahead and do that. So you're here for the first option. If you'd like, you can lift those toes up, press that bottom of that left foot into that right calf. Or if you want to go even further, you can skip that and place the bottom of your left foot in that right thigh. Either way, you're pressing the bottom of that left foot into the right leg, just anywhere not on your knee. Now stay here, or if you want, bring the palms to the center of your chest. Take an inhale and exhale. Stay here, or if you'd like, extend your arms out and up, grow your branches in your tree. The idea here is to hug that outer right thigh in. That's really going to give you stability. So press down through that right foot as you hug that outer right thigh in. Stay for one more breath. And exhale, release your hands down to the center of your chest. And wherever you are, release both arms down, both feet down, and shake it out a little bit. Okay, let's do the other side. So make sure your feet are lined up, hips width distance, heels behind the center toes, hands to the hips. So now let's shift some weight into that left foot, bending that right knee, right heel comes off the ground. Externally rotating that right leg, make sure that pelvis doesn't shift back. You still want those pointed forward. And now, draw that right foot into your left calf. Those right toes can stay on the ground, or if you'd like, you can raise them up. And if you want to, skip that knee. Press that right foot into that left thigh. Either way, wherever you are, stay for a breath. And exhale. You can stay here or bring your hands to the center of your chest. Keep hugging that outer left thigh in, pressing that left foot into the mat. Stay here or grow your branches, arms out and up into a Y shape. Stay for one more breath here. And exhale, release the hands down to the center of your chest and down to the sides. Release that leg also. Go ahead and shake it out. All right, let's come back to the top of your mat. Now, feet are hips width distance, heels behind the center toes. We're coming into our chair pose, but I want you to start in your chair pose with your hands at your hips. So from here, you're going to bend your knees, send your hips back. Your spine still stays nice and long, so you're not trying to arch or curve your back. Knees are bent, hands down by your hips. Now, from here, we're going to come into our marches like what we did before. So, shift some weight into that right foot, lift the left knee up, straighten that right leg, and exhale as you release that left leg down back into your chair pose. And now you're going to lift your right leg up as you straighten that left leg. And exhale, release down. So you get the idea. We're going from our chair pose into raising one leg up and straightening the other. So you can go as slow or as fast as you want. Go on your breath. So you can inhale as you lift one leg. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift the other. Exhale, release. Do one more time each side. And trying to keep that back nice and long. And exhale, release. Back into your chair pose. Now we're going to add on to it. So now this time our arms are going to be up. Palms face each other. Looking for a nice long spine. And we're going to march again. So we're going to straighten our right leg as we lift our left leg up. And exhale, release that back down in chair pose. Keep your arms straight. Switching to the other side. Straighten that left leg. Right leg comes up. Exhale, releasing back down in the chair. One more time each side. Right leg straightens, left leg up. Release down into chair pose. And left leg straightens, right leg up. Release down into chair. Okay, now come into your forward fold. Release the arms forward and down. Knees can bend. Now inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Place both palms to the ground. Bend your knees as much as you need to. Send that right foot back. Send that left foot back in your plank. Drop your knees to the ground. Shift your torso forward. Bend the elbows lower all the way to the mat. Uncurl those back toes. Lift up into your version of cobra. You can stay in baby cobra, or if you'd like, you can straighten the arms into full cobra. Either way, hug those outer ankles in towards each other. Send the heart forward. And exhale, release back to the mat. Curl those back toes under. Press yourself up into tabletop. Lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Now in downward facing dog, we're going to lift our right leg up. So in your down dog, lift your right leg up to hip height. Press that right heel back. Now bend that right knee, send it into your chest. Shift your torso forward so that the shoulders are over the wrist. And drop your right foot wherever it lands. Now walk that right foot up to the top of the mat. Drop that left knee to the ground. Uncurl those back left toes. And just check in. Make sure that right foot is on the right side of the mat. Left foot is on the left side of the mat. You may need a tent up on your fingertips. If you have blocks, you can use blocks here, just to give you a little bit elevation. But from here, take both hands, place it on your right thigh, and lift yourself up. Now place those hands on your hips, and this is our version of our Anjaneyasana. So making sure that right knee stays over that right ankle, and we're going to send our hips forward. As you send your hips forward, lift that heart up. Your hands can stay here. If you want to bring them to the center of your chest, you can do that. And your last option is to lift your arms up, palms face each other. Keep pressing down through that right heel, pressing down through that left shin. Stay for one more breath. And exhale gently to release both hands down towards that right thigh. Shift the torso forward, release both hands down to the mat. Curl that back toe under. Lift that back knee up. Send that right foot to meet the back foot in plank. Drop your knees to the mat. Shift the torso forward. Bend the elbows lower all the way to the ground. Uncurl the back toes. Inhale, lift your head up and your chest up into your version of cobra. Exhale, release down. Curl those back toes under. Press yourself up into tabletop. Lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. We're coming to that left side now, so now lift that left leg up and back. Left heel presses back. Left toes are flexed. Now bend that left knee into your chest. Shift that torso forward. Shoulders are over wrists. Drop that left foot wherever it lands. And then walk that left foot up to the top of your mat. Now drop that right knee to the ground. Uncurl those back right toes. Make sure that left foot is on the left side of the mat. That right leg is on the right side. And lift your hands up to that left thigh. Torso comes up. Arms can stay here, or if you want, bring them to your hips. Try and send the hips forward as you lift your chest up. Try to keep that left knee over that left ankle. Stay here or bring your hands to your center of your chest. And last option, lift the arms overhead, palms face each other. Wherever you are, you're sending that pelvis forward, you're lifting that heart up. Stay for one more breath. And exhale, release the hands back to your thighs. And send both hands down to opposite sides of your left foot. So curl those right toes under, lift that right knee up. Send that left foot to meet the back foot. Drop your knees to the ground, shift the torso forward. Bend the elbows lower all the way to the ground. Uncurl the back toes. Press those hips into the ground. Inhale, lift your head up and your chest up into baby cobra. Drawing the back to the shoulder blades together. You can also come into full cobra with your arms straightened. Keep hugging those outer ankles in towards each other. And release down to the mat, forehead to the mat. Curl those back toes under, press yourself up into tabletop. And let's press ourselves back into our child's pose. So you're going to uncurl those toes. We have a couple options for child's pose. We're pressing our hips back towards our heels. Our knees can either be hips width distance, they can come out to the width of the mat. And our toes can either be touching or they can be hips width distance as well. Either way, send your hips back towards your heels. They might not touch, that's fine. And release your forehead to the ground, or it can come to a block if your forehead doesn't reach. Both arms should be extended straight out, but nice and relaxed with the palms facing down. Just going to catch up with our breath here, so take nice deep breaths. Just stay for 2 more breaths in your child's pose. Okay, we're nice and warmed up. We're ready to go. So, press your hips, lift your hips back up, lift your torso back up. Bring your knees back under your hips, tops of the feet, hips width distance, arms under shoulders, you're in your tabletop. Let's curl our toes under, lift our hips up and back into downward facing dog. Let's inhale as we gaze forward, bend the knees, exhale, walker step to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back. Exhale, forward fold, knees can bend. Inhale, arms out and up, chest up, look up. Exhale, hands down to the center of your chest and down to the side. All right, let's keep moving. Let's come back into our chair pose. So bend the knees, send the hips back, arms are forward, palms face each other. Make sure you can look down and see your toes. If your knees are covering them, shift your hips back a little more. Stay for just a breath here. And exhale as we forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Place both palms down to the mat. Send that right foot back, send that left foot back. We're in our plank. Drop your knees to the ground. Shift your torso forward, bend the elbows lower all the way to the mat. Uncurl those back toes. Inhale, lift up into your version of your back bend. And exhale, release that forehead to the mat. Curl the back toes under. Press yourself up into tabletop. Lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, lift that right leg up again. Bend that right knee, send it into your chest. Shift the torso forward. Right, the shoulders are over the wrist. Drop that right foot down to the mat. Wiggle those right toes up to the top of the mat. Now you have the option, if you want to keep that left knee up off the ground, you can. If you need to drop it down to the ground, you can do that. Otherwise, try and keep that left knee up. Place that left hand underneath that left shoulder and lift that right arm out and up. Right palm faces forward. Try and hug this outer right thigh in. Don't let it shift out too much. So hugging that right outer thigh in. And exhale, release that right arm to the ground. Now, staying in your high lunge here. If your knee's down, see if you can lift that knee up. Place both hands to the shins. Lift your torso up. You're in your high lunge Anjaneyasana here. Now, we're going to come into our marches from here. So place your hands to your hips, and you're going to shift your torso forward, press off that back foot, lifting that left leg up. Maybe you do it in one move, maybe it takes a couple, and you're going to send that left foot back into your lunge. So just try it a couple times. See how you shift forward, lift that knee up, send it back into your lunge, lifting that knee up, sending it back, lifting that knee up, sending it back. Maybe you bring your hands to the center of your chest and try. Maybe it just takes you a couple times. You have to send that left foot up and then you can raise it. Just do what works for you. Keeping that right knee bent in your lunge and straighten when you come up. One more time. And exhale, release. Okay, now release your hands back to your shins. Release the hands back down towards the mat. Send that right foot to meet the back foot. You're in your plank. Drop your knees to the ground. Shift the torso forward. Bend the elbows over all the way to the mat. Uncurl the back toes. Lift your hips up, chest up into baby cobra or full cobra. Exhale, release the forehead to the mat. Curl those toes under. Press yourself up into tabletop. Lift those hips up and back into downward facing dog. We're coming to the other side now. So lift that left leg up. Press that left heel back. Bend that left knee into your chest. Shift the torso forward. Release that left foot wherever it drops to the mat. Then wiggle it to the top of the mat. Now again, if you want to keep that right knee up, you can. If you need to drop it for the twist, you can do that. Either way, that right hand, either the palm or the tops of the fingertips, comes right below your right shoulder. And lift that left arm out and up to a nice twist. So left palm is facing forward, up towards the ceiling. And hug this outer left thigh in. It always wants to fall out to the side. See if you can hug that in. Stay for a breath. Exhale, release that left palm to the outside of that left foot. Now come up into your high lunge. Lift that right knee off the ground if you can. And place both hands on your thighs. And lift that torso up. Both hands are on your hips. You're in your high lunge. Now keep that back leg slightly bent. And again, we're coming up into our marches that we've been doing. So this might take a couple steps. You might take 1, 2, and lift that right knee up. And send it back into your lunge. Whew. Lift that right knee up. And send it back. Just go on your breath, your capacity. If it takes you a couple steps, that's fine. Just do what works for you. You can keep your hands at your hips. If you'd like, you can bring your hands to the center of your chest. And when you lift that knee up, try and lift that knee at least to hip height or to your capacity. Do a couple more times. And last time here. Come back into your lunge. Release your hands to your thigh. Release hands both to the ground. And send that left foot to meet the back foot. We're in our plank pose. Drop your knees to the ground. Uncurl the back toes. Send yourself back into your child's pose. We're here for just a couple breaths. Just a quick little break until we advance right back into that. So take a couple nice deep breaths as you gather your strength here. You guys ready to do this? We're going to move into Warrior 3 after this. So lift your head up. Press your arms back up. Come back into your tabletop. Curl the toes under. Lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Now lift that right leg up and back. Right heel presses back. Bend that right knee into your chest. Shift the shoulders over the wrist. Drop that right foot down. Send that right foot up to the top of the mat. You're in your high lunge again. Now place both hands to the thighs. Lift your torso up. And you're in your high lunge. Now keep your hands at your hips to start. And to come into our Warrior 2, it's just like when we're coming into our marches with our knees up. But this time, as we shift forward, we're going to raise that left leg up. So it may take you a couple hops. But here we go. So press down through that right heel. Hug this outer right thigh in. And shift your torso forward, press up off that left foot, raise that left leg, and this time your torso comes parallel to the ground. Keep hugging that outer right thigh in, pressing that left leg back. Drop this left hip down. It always wants to come up. So his left toes should be facing to the ground, pressing back to that left heel. Slight tuck of the chin. Stay here or bring the hands to the center of your chest. Stay for another breath here. And exhale, gently bend that right knee. Release that left foot back down to the ground. You're in your high lunge. Release the hands down to your thigh, down to either side of the mat. Send that right foot to meet the back foot. You're in your plank pose. Drop your knees to the ground. Uncurl the back toes, shift back into your child's pose again. Again, we're here for just a breath or two to gather our strength, getting ready for that other side. So take some nice deep breaths. See how it felt on that first side. Maybe it'll go a little bit different on the other. We'll see. Okay, so lift your hips up off your heels, back into your tabletop. Curl those back toes under. Lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Now lift that left foot up, press that left heel back, and curl that left knee into your chest. Shift the torso forward, shoulders are over wrists. Drop that left foot down, wiggle it to the top of the mat. See if you can stay with your right knee up off the ground. Raise your hands to your thigh. Get your balance. Lift your torso up, hands to the thighs. Okay, so you know what's coming. So make sure you're pressing down to that left heel, hugging that outer left thigh in. Here we go. Shift the torso forward, press up off that right foot. Maybe you need to step a time or two. Lift that right leg up. Torso comes parallel to the ground. Right heel is pressing back. Right toes face the ground. Stay here or bring your hands to the center of your chest. Keep hugging that left thigh in. Drop that right hip down. This always wants to raise up. See if you can drop that right hip down. Stay for one more breath here. And exhale, bend that left knee. Release that right foot back down to the ground. You're in your high lunge. And exhale, release the hands to the thighs. Both arms come down to the ground. Send that left foot to meet the back foot. Drop the knees to the ground. Shift the torso forward. Bend the elbows lower all the way to the mat. Uncurl the back toes. Lift up into your last back bend here. And exhale, release to the mat. Press up into tabletop, and we're going to press ourselves back into our child's pose one last time here. Whew. So just check in with yourself. Release any judgment over yourself. Just be grateful that you showed up for practice today. Maybe you tried something new that you've never done before. Maybe you took a leap of faith. Maybe you connected with your breath in a way you've never done before. It's good to just appreciate your presence for class today. Take a couple more deep breaths. And from here, press yourself up. We're coming to a seated position. And have the bottoms of your feet touch. With the bottoms of your feet touching, you're going to let your knees fall out to the side. This is called Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose. If you ever need to, you can always put little blocks or something that's to elevate your knees in case this is too stressful. If you feel like you're falling back too much, you can always sit on something as well, just like in our cross-legged seat. Either way, try and keep your arms straight and just grab onto whatever makes sense. Maybe it's your shins, maybe it's your ankles. And you can stay here, or if you'd like to add a forward fold, you have the invitation to do so. If you're forward folding, you're going to root down through those sit bones. Inhale as you lift, slight tuck of the chin. Exhale as you bend just at the hip crease. Keep a nice long back and send your heart forward. You're either forward folding or you're just staying up in your bound angle pose. Staying for 2 more breaths here. And if you're forward folding, begin to press yourself back up. And if you are sitting on anything, go ahead and release that off to the side. Now send both legs out in front of you. Have the knees bent. Go ahead and grab onto those legs and just gently roll down onto your back. Just gently rolling down. And once you're there, walk your heels back to your hips. And then separate your feet out to the width of your mat. With your feet separated out to the width of your mat, let your knees fall into touch. Now here you can gently rock your knees from side to side. Just gently letting both knees fall off to one side and then the other. Your knees don't have to touch the ground, mine definitely don't. Just gently rocking, releasing any last little bit of tension in that lower back. Okay, bring both knees back up to center. Heel toe your feet into hips width distance. Separate your knees out to hips width distance. And extend both legs long out in front of you. Bring both arms down to the sides, palms face up. We're coming into our Shavasana pose, our final pose of practice today. On your back, arms down by your sides, palm face up. Legs are extended out. Release any bit of tension in them. You can let your knees and your feet fall out to the side. Whatever works for you. Just stay in your Shavasana pose. Take some nice deep breaths. You can begin to softly close your eyes or close your gaze completely. Release any last little bit of tension you may have in your toes, your feet. Maybe your jaw is still clenching. Release the top and bottom teeth from each other. Maybe you're still curling your brow slightly. Just let your body hang heavy and melt into the mat. Okay, begin to bring some awareness back into your body. Maybe you wiggle your fingers and your toes. Rotate your wrists and your ankles. And gently reverse the directions in those rotations. And come back to stillness for one last breath in your Shavasana here. And you're going to turn over to one side, maybe slightly bend your knees. Just turn over to one side. Bring one knee on top of the other, one arm on top of the other. When you're on your side, stay for one more breath here. And just gently use your top arm to press yourself up into a nice, comfortable seated position, keeping your eyes closed or your gaze softened. We'll complete our practice here. Once you're in your nice, comfortable seat, your palms can rest on top of your knees, palms can face up, or they can come into the center of your chest. Thank you for joining me in practice today. The light and love in me acknowledges and honors the light and love in each one of you. Thank you. Peace. Thank you again for everyone for practicing today. My apologies for starting a little bit later and hope I didn't run your evening too late either. This was a great class. We'll have another one Friday evening, just building off of this one. Hopefully, this was a nice little challenge for you. Friday will add on to that just slightly more. If you have any questions, let me know. You can leave them in the chat. You can email me. If you'd like to donate, the donation link to Movable Feast is in the video description as well, so you can see that also. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the rest of your Wednesday evening. Thank you again for practicing with me today. Again, my name is Daniel with Daniel Lee Yoga. Have a wonderful evening. See you next time.